Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. My focus of the video is to talk about my first 5 Zetas and why I chose those Zetas. Now, if you followed my channel, then you've seen kind of my Zeta progress move along. I want to talk specifically about these. This is going to be the first video I do on Zetas. My next video is going to focus on the 5 Zetas that I like the most. And then my third video will probably focus on what things you should do or what abilities you should be looking at when you are looking to Zeta your first or next Zeta character. So with that, I want to go ahead and start. Number 1, the very first character that I Zeted was Darth Vader. Now, I love Darth Vader. I love his ability. I Zeted him at a time when he was part of the meta, or a bigger part of the meta. It was before Throng, before all this new stuff, but I loved him. Now, one of the reasons why I looked at Vader for his ability at all was simply because he fits into a number of great teams, whether he's the leader, which is his Zeta ability, or just as a follower, as a character. Vader is one of my favorite characters to play with. With that, his Zeta ability is Inspire Through Fear, and it reads, Empire and Sith allies gain 30% offense and have a 50% chance to remove 20% turn meter when they damage an enemy. This turn meter removal can't be resisted. While Darth Vader is alive, enemies immediately regain damage over time for 2 turns whenever damage over time expires on them. Now, this is a great ability. You can use a Vader lead as a way to solo the Rancor raid in Phase 2 or Phase 4 heroic tank raid. It is just a really, really solid ability. But it depends on who you have with it. Now, in the arena, it's not super effective, but it really depends on how you build the rest of your team out. In Galactic War, I find that it is very useful, and I enjoy using the Vader lead to get me through a number of my harder battles. Now, after Vader, I didn't have a whole lot of options. It was still when Zetas were pretty new, and it took me a couple of months to get to them. But the next character that I chose was Darth Sidious. Now, I chose him for a couple of reasons. One, Vader Sidious, it just makes sense, right? But his sadistic glee, Darth Sidious recovers 20% of his max health and gains 50% turn meter whenever any enemy unit is defeated. He has 35% evasion against Jedi attacks, plus 50% potency, and gains max health equal to his potency percentage. So if you have a high potency on Sidious, boom, he is going to be incredibly hard to kill, plus because he keeps regaining, health every time he hits and every time he defeats an enemy. What's great about that is his demoralizing blow deals physical damage to all enemies and inflicts damage over time and expose for 2 turns. This attack inflicts 2 additional damage over time effects on a critical hit. That is a very important thing when you're soloing the Rancor, or when you're really doing anything. Having that additional damage over time be part of the kit here is very important. So I chose Sidious. What was interesting is my next choice was not in line with this dark side build that I had been going for. My next choice was more out of frustration than anything else. But I'm glad that I chose Qui-Gon Jinn for my 3rd Zeta. Now, there was a moment of buyer's remorse when I clicked that button, because here I am, I've built up Darth Vader and Sidious. I had them both to level 10 at the time. I wasn't really focused on getting them to gear level 11, but, that's hindsight. Get them as high as you can, as fast as you can. And then I throw on a Zeta on this leader for a Jedi. Now, my Jedis at the time weren't terrible. They were actually pretty solid, but they weren't allowing me, or I couldn't beat Light Side Battle 9B like a lot of you guys, and I was frustrated. I was so pissed. I would try again and again and again and again, and nothing. It was infuriating. Now, it was at a time I joined the We With Lives guild, the guild that I'm currently in, or the guild community that I'm currently part of, and they have a program like many other guilds that they borrow a toon, right? You can borrow a toon that's a higher or maxed out character. So I borrowed a maxed out General Kenobi. I threw Qui-Gon Jinn as my leader with this Zeta ability, and I had no problem. I breezed through it. pretty quickly. I mean, it was still a little bit of a challenge because you got to pay attention. You got to use your Jedi, strategically. But it allowed me to defeat that and move on, and just for the rest of the light side battles, I was able to defeat him without any problem. It was nice. So I don't regret it now, especially now that I'm getting my Jedis to be a more effective team, and so very useful for me. My fourth Zeta was Kylo Ren. Now, I Zeted Kylo Ren after the bug rework for the raids. Now, for those of you who don't know what the bug rework was, Kylo Ren has a special ability that resets or gives him a chance to reset counters, right? Now, this is meant to be the counter of his abilities, but what it was doing was resetting the escape counter for Heroic Rancor, Heroic Raids, and so what would happen is Kylo would go in and just decimate the first phase of the Heroic Tank Raid, for example. Go in, he would fight all the way up until the tunes got enraged, or just before the tunes got enraged, and he would then escape. If he couldn't escape, he'd give it 2 or 3 more turns, obviously before the enragement happens, and try to escape, right? Then, because of his outrage, his Zeta ability, it says deals physical damage to target enemy, and if Kylo Ren has full health, it stuns for 1 turn. This attack deals 75% more damage if Kylo Ren is below full health, and recovers protection equal to the damage dealt. So every time he's hitting, he's gaining that protection back. So what would happen is they would pull Kylo Ren out of that phase just before General Grievous, became enraged, or the other tunes became enraged, and then go back in with a full protection. And they would do this until they beat phase 1, right? And it racked up a ton of points, right? The problem is, when they fixed the bug, a lot of people were like, well, Kylo Ren's not useful anymore. I wanted to see whether he was or not, and to see whether this was still effective. Now I have Kylo Ren to gear level 11. He's got some pretty solid mods, and I'm not great at phase 1. I don't know how to do it effectively, so I'm only getting 250,000 to 300,000 damage, maybe, right? That was like my highest, like 300,000. I usually get between like 120 to like 250, if I'm lucky. Now, what's nice about this is, one, I don't feel like Kylo Ren's bad at all. I threw him in my arena team, and I hold pretty well. Now, there are definitely some downfalls. If he's hit with Throng's stun, his fracture, he's almost out of the game, depending on how the AI is used. But there's a lot of other abilities that can stop Kylo Ren, so use with caution. But for me, it answered the question: is he still valuable? And the answer is yes. And so that was why I chose that one. Now, my final ability, my final Zeta ability, I threw on just recently, probably about 3 weeks ago, when they announced the Ewok rework. Now, I had been farming Throng. I had gotten him up to gear level 10. I had maxed out all of his other abilities, and I was really excited to put that Zeta on Throng. Now, I was going to go with the Ebb and Flow, that one, I believe that's the name of it, but I saw the rework, and then I read all the things that they were doing with these Ewoks. Now, for those of you who don't like Ewoks, for those of you who don't know the Ewok kit, Chief Chirpa's Zeta ability, Simple Tactics, Ewok allies gain 20% turn meter and deal 10% more damage whenever they perform a basic attack. These effects are halved for other allies, so, 10 and 5. Whenever an Ewok ally uses a special ability, 60% chance to call another random Ewok ally to assist. Okay? So, with the rework, what they're doing is they're making the Ewoks super helpful to each other, right? They're helping each other out quite a bit. And with that, what they're doing is they are allowing each other, or they're allowing anytime a special attack is used to call an assist, right? Now, before this was kind of problematic. There were only 4 Ewoks. You couldn't have a 5th Ewok. Now there are 5. Now, if you are in the light or dark side battles, I guess light side battles, you can call in an Ewok friend to help you out. So imagine 6 furry little demons running at one character. Not only is that kind of hilarious, but if they're geared right, incredibly devastating. And so I'm curious to see what the next Ewok is going to look like. Now that's going to be Wicket. They've been playing his kit very close to the chest. I have not seen them release stats or data. I mean, we know what his abilities are, but we don't know how effective he's going to be, what damage he's going to have. And so that won't come out until Thursday, I believe the 27th. But when it does, I'm really excited to see what it looks like. And I'm really excited to see, because we know that he is going to have, or Wicket is going to have, 1, if not 2, Zeta abilities available to him. I think it's 1, but I may have heard 2 somewhere. That might have just been a rumor. But I'm excited to figure out what that's going to look like, and what a multiple Zeta ability Ewok team will look like in raids, what it will look like in Galactic War, and what it will look like in the arena. I don't think that Wicket or the Ewok team is going to be the new meta. However, I think they're going to give a lot of the other characters a run for their money, or at least I'm hoping they are. Fingers crossed that's the case, but we don't know yet, and there's still going to be a lot of stuff that could possibly change or will change with new releases and new updates. Now, I'm hoping they don't screw us over on this last Ewok, but who knows? Now, before you guys ask, do I regret any of my Zeta purchases? No, I don't, because I've had a lot of fun with them. This game is all about fun for me. I don't want to chase the meta. I don't want to spend my time looking after and saying, oh, I've got to be up, I've got to be up, I've got to be up, or I've got to beat this crew, or I've got to beat that crew. Yes, winning is fun. Strategizing is awesome. I love that. For me, that's one of the things. I love seeing how different characters work. I have my own favorite characters, my own favorite tunes, and my droid team is one of my favorite tunes. I love droids. I freaking love them. If I could have a droid companion hanging out with me and just like doing random droid stuff, and it's like being sassy and whatnot, that would be awesome. Instead, I have kids, and they're sassy for different reasons, and that's fine, but they're not robot droids. This is my thing, guys. It's fun. And when you are just chasing a meta, when you're just about winning, you get so focused on that win, then it can lose some of the fun. Right now, I'm focused on building Zetas, or I'm focused on purchasing Zetas for teams that I enjoy playing, for characters that have multiple areas where they can play. I hope this has helped you guys at least understand where I'm coming from. Leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think of my Zeta choices. Let me know what you've chosen for your Zeta choices, and if you haven't chosen a Zeta yet, let's talk about it. If you have chosen Chewie as your first Zeta, please leave a comment in the section below. I want to hear from you specifically. Was it worth it? I'm a little hesitant, but I want to hear from you. Tell me how you used it and why you bought it, and if it was just for kicks and giggles, that's fine. Subscribe, share this video. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and as always, stay nerdy.